So then, we also watched AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash, also December 23rd, 2020. Although I must say it was, for me, very strange watching this because I watched NXT early in the afternoon of Saturday with plans to watch Dynamite later that night. And then I got the horrible, horrible news about the passing of John Huber, and I just couldn't watch Dynamite. So I watched it Sunday night here when I would perhaps on another Sunday be watching a pay-per-view instead. And so watching it several days after it aired and after the news of John Huber's passing, it was a very, very, very strange show to watch. So we open with Chris Jericho and MJF versus Top Flight. The first part of this match where Top Flight's running wild and they're trying to do these elaborate four-way double team spots, and nothing came off like botched or wrong, but it was all very clunky. Their timing was off. It was so off that JR had to cover for it, saying that it was Jericho and MJF who were the ones who were out of rhythm and out of sorts. And the good news is they got their act together. Darius's comeback at the end was much smoother. There's a bunch of really ridiculous double teams into big dives. But then Darius tries one dive too many, and Jake Hager slams him into the apron, and MJF hits the Heat Seeker. It wins. It was a fun match.
Yeah, that was a good tag match. It was helped a lot, as was everything on the show, by the fact that the show was taped, and so we had all the crowd swinging. Whenever these shows are taped, the crowd sounds so much better. And the funny thing is, I have heard a lot of people complain about the audio on the AW shows. It comes up on our board a lot. And if there's ever someone who will talk about bad audio, it's me.
Right. It doesn't sound like you.
And I fucking never notice it. And what I've determined is a lot of these people that complain about the audio are watching on Fight. So what happens is, if you're doing radio or TV, you film your show, it gets sent to wherever, uplink, satellite uplink or whatever. And when it goes out over the airwaves, it's run through these multi-band compressors, which brings everything up to the same level. So my guess is that the Fight TV feed is the raw feed. And so what you're hearing on Fight TV, nobody watching on TNT is hearing. TNT is leveling everything. So whatever it is, I mean, the show sounded great to me. This show sounded really good. And I don't know what to say about everybody watching on Fight. I've never watched this show on Fight.
So I have DirecTV. This show started exactly 6 minutes later than it usually does. So when you said 2 hours difference, I was baffled.
Yeah, because on I assume it has to do with what the West Coast TNT feed, obviously different than the East Coast feed. But yes, there was an NBA game that went right after it and went a little bit long. And
yes,
so it started. Anyway, after this match, Maxwell and Christopher are celebrating in the ring when Jake Hager gets in there and he's got a microphone. Caught me off guard. He notes everyone in the inner circle is on the same page now, except Wardlow. They say he's been away on family business. This is family business. We don't want rest. We don't need it. I know Wardlow's an asset, but he's also an asshole. I got a match with him live next week on Dynamite. And Wardlow, you better show up. And Jericho and Max are very upset about all this. They don't want to hear it.
Dude, I don't know what they're going to do.
I have no idea.
I mean, the one thing you could do if you really trust these two guys is they go to a 20-minute draw.
No.
And they just beat the shit out of each other for 20 minutes. And when it's over, they're best friends. Know what I'm saying?
They could do their respect finish, and then they're a tag team?
Yeah. You always hate these guys, and you beat the shit out of each other, and then you're their buddy.
No. Those guys going 20 minutes would be awful television.
We don't know that, but...
No, I know that.
Wow.
Jiminy Christmas.
It's possible. Possible. Tonight on Dynamite, the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed. And to hype this, we get an Acclaimed rap video about buck hunting.
Oh, this was so fucking great. You know, I've heard people bitch and they're like, the Acclaimed. It's like John Cena in 2002 or 2003 or whatever. You don't have to say those people, with all due respect, fuck off. I want to hear them do a rap video for every major team that they face.
Sure.
I fucking thought this was awesome. I loved it.
I did not write down every line, but I did note where they talked about how the Bucks have been kissing Dave's ass to get star ratings.
Yes.
Excellent.
They rapped that.
Yes. Better than I did, by the way. Also tonight on Dynamite, Hikaru Shida in action.
I mean, that video was so good.
It was very, very good.
They just debuted, and when that video was over, it's like, these men are stars. That's what I thought when the video was over.
Yes. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford will announce their wedding date. The Jurassic Express versus Colt and 5 and 10. Colt Cabana and 5 and 10 from the Dark Order. Dustin Rhodes versus Evil Uno, also from the Dark Order. Pac versus Butcher. At which point Jim Ross says this one should be a classic. Of all the matches that you just read.
Pac versus the Butcher?
Yes. And also Tony Schiavone interviews Sting, which is our very next segment. So it's Tony interviewing Sting in the ring. Why are you here? What do you have planned? Excellent questions.
Sure.
So Sting begins by talking about way, way, way back in the day before he was Sting. He was peeking through the curtain watching matches with Dusty Rhodes. And I have been listening to Dusty Rhodes impressions for like 40 years now. Yes. 30 years at least. And most of them are very good. He's a very easy guy to do an impression of. Sure. I don't know if I've ever heard a better one than what Sting did here.
Yep.
Sting says they're going to put color in your face, color in your boots, make you glow in the dark. You're going to go in the ring with Ric Flair. And of course he did. He went in the ring with Ric Flair. He was a huge star, and the rest is history. So being so close to Dusty, he explains, there's no way he could stay away from Cody Rhodes and what he was doing here in AEW. Fans chant welcome home in his third appearance, I think. So he starts to address Darby Allin.
Welcome home to TNT.
That's true.
That's what they're saying.
So, well, yeah, he says this is home too. He meant, anyway, I was joking, but it's fine. So Sting mentions he's about to address Darby Allin, who we still don't know what their relationship is like. Mm-hmm. But Taz interrupts, comes out with Team Taz. He is sick of Tony Schiavone putting Sting over. Ricky Starks is sick of Sting sticking his nose in their business. They're about to go to the ring. When the lights come out, or go out, when they come back on, Darby's in the ring with Sting standing side by side. Taz sees the two guys standing there, one with a bat, one with a skateboard. Says, we'll fight another day. January 6th, in 2 weeks, Brian Cage versus Darby Allin for the TNT title. And Cage doesn't want to wait, but Taz pulls him back. We have an MJF promo. He's backstage looking into the camera. He explains the camera is here because it's the right thing to do. And he goes to confront Proud and Powerful, specifically Santana. He tells them to relax. They don't like him. He knows that, but he wants them to know. He heard Santana lost someone close to them recently. Max also lost his grandfather to cancer. He knows how hard it is. He's here for Santana. Santana, who of course has not liked Max or trusted him in one bit, looks him in the eye, stands up, puts his hand on his shoulder and says, keep your head up. And they shake hands and they embrace. Ortiz also shakes his hand. They leave. Max is left alone, and he shows no signs of any insincerity.
No. And obviously he absolutely loved his grandfather who did pass away. And you watch his segment, it's like a total babyface segment.
Yeah.
And I presume that at the end of the day, this is a scheme
Sure.
to infiltrate this organization.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, he's earning their trust.
Thank
but I
you,
mean,
yes.
there's many ways that they could go here. You know, one of the ways is he actually screws everybody. Mm-hmm. And so when he screws Santana and Ortiz, he comes off as an even bigger prick after this. Or the obvious, which is he's infiltrating the organization. And maybe he even is sincere in this promo because he actually wants to befriend everybody except Jericho, who he plans on turning on in the end. So we shall see.
What a fantastic acting job from MJF, even looking into the camera at the end and literally wiping a tear away.
I don't think he was acting. His grandfather just passed away. He probably was actually in tears.
Thank you for crapping on my point.
Well, I didn't think he was acting. That's my point.
The point is, it was a very good segment. That's the point.
Thank you.
Colt Cabana and 5 and 10 versus Jurassic Express. Very fun, well-worked trios match. Formulaic, but the formula works, so who cares? Jungle Boy, yes.
When Colt Cabana actually joins the Dark Order, can they just call him Colt Cabana?
I think he's in. He got matching gear. He's not really a recruit anymore. He's with them all the time. He knows about some of the diabolical stuff they've been doing, and he's not turned his back on them. But yes, Colt with a U, Cabana.
Yes, Colt Cabana.
Yes. So Jungle Boy is an outstanding babyface in peril, of course. And it's a big hot tag by Luchasaurus. Another big hot tag by Jungle Boy. So Lucha throws Marco on two of the dudes outside. Picks up Marco's stunt, just tosses them outside to wipe them out. Yeah. So it's Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and 5 are in the ring. So they did a move that I watched about 5 times, just trying to figure out what happened in a good way. What happened was what they wanted to happen. But basically, Lucha grabbed 5 for a back suplex and flipped him in the air high enough and hard enough that he just kept spinning through space.
Yes.
And as he was spinning like a frisbee or something, as he was spinning, Jungle Boy catches him mid-spin and plants him with a powerbomb.
It was awesome.
And as he's laid this man out, he of course is now sitting down. The ref's counting 1, 2, 3. Jungle Boy just looks up and fixes his hair. he's so cool.
I like the part where they're using Marco as a weapon, and Luchasaurus slams him down on the other, I think it was 5, and Marco's head bounced off the mat, and he grabbed his neck, and he grabbed his head, and he rolled out of the ring. His own partner killed him.
Yes.
Got to take one for the team sometimes, Craig.
Understood. Every Tuesday and Sunday now.
Marco starts to talk about how it feels good to be back on Dynamite when FTR interrupts from the big screen. They say they're the best tag team of the year, the best there is.
Did we talk about how awesome that double powerbomb was at the end of that match?
Why, yes,
I didn't mention it.
Holy shit, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
That was a 10-star move. And I'm not even into moves all that much. But they fucking pulled it off perfectly. My kind of powerbomb, too. The other guy just throws the guy at me. I just have to sit down.
Expert analysis from Brian Alvarez. Thank you, Brian.
That's what people pay for, Craig.
Yeah.
A fine, fun match I wrote.
Apparently they pay Vinny and myself as well, because we said the same thing.
I said it louder.
You always say things louder.
That's the point. Tony interviews at Jurassic Express. We got going on that yet?
I've tried to so hard.
I know.
So Marco says it feels good to be back on Dynamite.
Oh my God.
FTR interrupts from the big screen. They say they're the tag team of the year, the best there is. Jurassic Park. You want to take... I don't know if that was a mistake on his part or an insult, but it worked either way.
Yep.
You want... Because it's Tully talking. He's an old man. He makes mistakes. You want to take us down and make a name for yourselves for January 6th. You got 2 weeks to prepare. We are on a quest to get our belts back. We won't let a couple of dinosaurs take us a notch down. And Marco's stunt. If you stick your little nose in there, I may get a flashback to the 1980s. The screen goes blank. An enraged Marco stunt, apparently going to charge the monitor.
Yeah.
Tries to run out
This
of the
little
ring.
shit.
JX holds
You
him
better
back.
hold this guy back. He's going to get his ass whooped by Tully.
A very fun match and a very fun promo.
You know, I once told Paisley that there's a movie called Jurassic Park.
Oh.
Oh, no, dude.
I said, you'll be able to watch it one of these days. When you're older, I'll watch it with you. She goes, why can't I watch it now? I said, well, there's dinosaurs and they eat people.
Right.
I don't think you'd like that. She goes, I want you to watch it for me and tell me what it's about.
Ah.
I said, well, I mean...
I really, honestly, you just did.
I mean...
There's very little beyond that.
But like, now every day, not a day goes by where she goes, Daddy, tonight when I go to bed, will you watch Jurassic Park and tell me what it's about? And I have to explain I got to do these shows. So anyway, one of these days, we may have to review Jurassic Park here on the show, just so I can get her off my back.
Why don't you...
Isn't there like 6 of them now?
Well, yeah, but...
There's only one good one, really.
Well,
Understood.
I presume the first one.
The first
Yes.
one is
Although,
good.
fuck, the first one's probably so outdated now with all these new fucking dinosaurs and shit. I read her books about dinosaurs, and in the book, it talks about velociraptors and how they fucked it up in Jurassic Park.
Well, yes.
That's how outdated that movie is.
Yes, that did happen. Alex Marvez tracks down Don Callis and Kenny Omega at the hotel. Callis is appalled that Tony Khan lets wrestlers run wild and book matches. He has never seen this in 30 years in this business.
I do love that Callis's gimmick is that he's a gimmick.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
he is a gimmick, but like that's also his gimmick.
But his gimmick is that he's a gimmick.
Yes.
But yes, in 30 years of business, including a brief but highlighted speaking role on Monday Night Raw during the Attitude Era.
Yes.
He has never seen wrestlers book their own matches.
I do like also that he left the business. I don't know how long he was doing whatever he was doing, but it was a while, probably 10, 15 years or whatever. He comes back, he adds in those 10, 15 years to his career.
Sure. What?
That's like if I came back in 2030 and said, fuck, it's been a good 45-year career I've had here or whatever.
I debuted in 2020. If I had a match this year, we were at 20th years of wrestling.
Yes.
Sure.
You made 2000, Vinny, not 2020.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes.
So Omega starts talking about his match with Rey Fenix, lists all the times Rey Fenix has choked in the Eliminator tournaments and AAA when they met or whatever. Says this time he's going to put Phoenix out for good. But if he's not good enough for AEW, he's got friends at Impact Wrestling or AAA. He can probably get him booked there. And the title match is next week on New Year's Smash, which is a great name for a show. Night 1, I should add. And my last comment here before I give Craig the floor. Kenny Omega's paint-speckled jacket and V-neck T-shirt. Wonderful. Just wonderful.
Who fucking dresses this guy?
Kenny Omega.
I love it, but for a while he would come out in his fucking pajamas on every show.
When he
now
was
he's a
babyface-
champion. He's decided he's supposed to dress up.
Yeah.
It's like, in what?
And that is exactly what I was going to say about this segment. Austin Theory had the douchiest sleeveless sweater, only to be overshadowed by Kenny Omega not only wearing that jacket, but glasses indoors.
Dude.
What a fantastic douchebag.
Somebody
overduced.
posted a picture, and it was like from the old TBS studios, and it's a young Tony Schiavone, and he's fucking interviewing Kenny Omega. It's like, I was just watching the thing, and it's some sort of fucking deep fake or something, or what the fuck's going on? It was Brad Armstrong.
Yes.
It's uncanny.
Sure.
Except for the accent. Accent's a little different.
But I only saw the picture. It wasn't video.
That's true. Butcher versus Pac.
Yes.
Pac is so good.
Pac
Yeah.
is great, but I'm not sure I could say that this was a classic.
I would not say this match is a classic. It was not the best match Pac's ever had.
It was fun, though.
It was a fun TV match. Just to watch everything Pac does. His strikes are awesome. His dives are awesome. His selling and bumping are awesome. His timing is awesome. His pacing is awesome. He is so... It's unfair how good he is.
You know who I want to put over, though, Vinny? The Butcher.
Yes.
Because you know what? I forget who it was. Might have been Moxley. But the Butcher had a main event like 2 months ago.
Yes.
And this poor fucker
that was bad.
got so blown up.
Yes.
And he was dying out there.
Yes.
Well, he was great in this match. He looked like he lost a little weight. I'll bet you anything that he's just training his ass off.
Yep.
And he got in there and he did this match no problem. So, big thumbs up to the Butcher.
Now, the reason I like the Butcher, it's very simple. He doesn't look like anybody else.
No, he does not.
That mustache alone gets so many points with me.
When he
ahead.
came out on stage, I legitimately thought he was wearing his coronavirus face mask still. But no, it was his mustache. So, let's see. Pac is running wild, but the Butcher or Blade and Bunny attack Penta on the floor, which distracts Pac. Butcher hits a big-ass powerbomb for a near fall. So Butcher goes to finish Pac off for good. Eddie Kingston from the announce desk starts screaming at him over and over, Butch, about what to do. And Butch freezes, and he looks at Eddie. I assume Lance Archer missed his cue. Well, the show wasn't live. They could edit this out. Because it felt like a solid minute. They're just standing there waiting for something to happen.
Yep.
Eventually, Lance Archer comes out, distracts everyone. And this lets Pac recover. He hits a kick to the face and a black arrow for the win. And then Archer confronts Penta and Pac again. And I still have no idea what's going on in this feud, but the match was fun.
And Tony Schiavone and Eddie Kingston were at each other this whole time. And Kingston's hiding behind Tony. And the segment's over, and Kingston reaches over for a fist pound from JR. And I can't remember the exact thing he said to Tony, but it was like, screw off or something like that. It was just perfect. I love the play-by-play between those two.
Jade, who is no longer Jade Cargill, apparently. She's just Jade. She congratulates Brandy on the news of the upcoming child. It's very convenient, however, that you went and got yourself pregnant as soon as I showed up. I'll take care of business while you're gone, she says, mentioning like the administrative vice presidential duties. So I guess Jade has volunteered herself to take over from Brandy while Brandy's, I guess, out for 9 months of maternity leave. This promo did not add up. She's calling out Brandy for when she's ready, and until then, she wants a worthy opponent of her time. And I will say this was way better than the last Jade Cargill promo we saw on this show. Tony Schiavone is interviewing Miro, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford. They claim it will be the first wrestling wedding ever on TNT. Was Tuesday Night Titans on TNT?
Yeah, how is that possible?
I don't know. So they're putting the wedding over for a while. They're starting to tease the date, but then the Best Friends music hits, but it's a giant rib Miro and Kip have pulled on the rest of us, and they say, here's what really happened. And they show an ambulance where Trent is being loaded in and taken away. And I believe Trent tweeted out that he tore his pec.
That sucks.
It's going to be on the shelf for a while. So we finally get the date. It's going to be a beach wedding at Beach Break, which isn't that Orange Cassidy's finish?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's February 3rd, although you wouldn't know from the graphic because it was at the very bottom of the screen in very small letters. You couldn't see it for a lot of the time. But they did say February 3rd, Beach Break. Kip Sabian will marry Penelope Ford.
Tuesday Night Titans won USA.
I stand corrected.
But David and did David and Stacy not get married on?
I think they had a planned wedding, and maybe this will be the first wedding that actually happens.
Yeah, if the
that is not interrupted.
I can't remember.
Because if I was going to interrupt a wedding, but the groom's best friend was Miro,
right,
I would not interrupt that wedding.
Sure.
They can get married now. That's fine. Evil Uno versus Dustin Rhodes. A very simple but very fun match. Two mean dudes got in the ring and hit each other a lot. just clobber each other for a while. Just a slugfest. I loved it. They explained the 7 gimmick for those of you who the reference went over your head with Evil Uno a week or two ago. And Dustin makes his comeback, overcomes a spin kick, hits a bulldog, and wins. Tons of fun.
Out of nowhere, almost.
So Evil Uno then, even in defeat, he's still trying to recruit Dustin to the Dark Order. Dustin declines. So Stu Grayson hits the ring by himself. He's beating up Dustin. QT Marshall tries to make the save, but Stu beats up QT. Lee Johnson tries to make the save. He gets beat up, and eventually Johnson recovers and cleans house, and so the babyfaces won 3-on-2, which is weird. It would be weird for anyone, but this is the Dark Order. The whole point is, like, there's a dozen random masked geeks running around. You couldn't grab one guy to throw out there and make it a fair fight.
Yeah, so the David Flair Stacy Keibler wedding was the September 11, by the way, 2000 Nitro. But it was ruined. But still, there was a wedding on TNT, or an attempted wedding.
An attempted wedding.
Yeah, so I guess Kip and Penelope, I guess they have to actually
complete the wedding.
Get married in order for it to be the first on TNT.
Okay.
That doesn't seem right. I think they were bullshitting the stats right here.
There's no lying in wrestling.
Yeah, what are these heels lying for?
Sean Spears interviews Tony Schiavone, and if you think I made a mistake, no, that's what happened. Sean Spears was interviewing Tony Schiavone. He asked Schiavone why he left wrestling for so long, and then says, I know you were burned out, and that's why I wanted you here. And he goes off on every WWE reject now showing up in AEW stereotype cliche promo. I got out of New York to avoid the glass ceiling. I look better and work better and talk better than anyone else. I have been buried by management by Tony Khan and Cody. And the good news is, the gimmick is it's supposed to be a hypocritical, selfish dick. Sure. And Tony interrupts and says, maybe the problem lies with you. And Sean Spears, you are a piece of shit for saying that. Which, by the way, didn't the rule used to be you get 1 S-bomb per hour?
I think they've obviously earned their extra shits.
Dozens of them, dozens of shits all over the show. But they were still censoring G-damn.
Yes.
So take the God part out of that. Very
Which is
erratic.
funny. Which is funny because you can say that on radio. But
Yes.
You can't say the other word.
No.
It's so weird.
Unusual rules of...
What other word, Craig?
The Lord's name in vain, Brian.
That's not what you were going to say. You were going to say you couldn't say shit.
No, I wasn't going to say that at all.
Go ahead, Vinny.
So,
T2 taller.
What?
Never mind.
Sean Spears is outraged. He storms off the set and says, I'll come back to Dynamite if I feel like it. And all I can think is the scene in Tombstone where the good guys are leaving town.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the bad guy's name? Curly?
Yeah.
Is it Curly? Yeah. Well, bye.
Yeah.
It was the good guys leaving town.
All I can think of when Sean Spears announced he was leaving Dynamite. Bye.
Yes. As my Southern friend would say, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
I presume he's going to Impact.
Oh.
That's my
Possible.
theory.
Okay.
Is there a Dynamite UK he can crash?
I mean, they haven't done jack shit with Sean Spears. You know what I mean? He had that brief feud with Cody,
got
and
a
it's done
glove.
nothing in a year. It's got a weird glove, which, by the way, he threw the glove off. Like, I don't need this thing. I was like, I don't even know why you have that thing.
I don't know.
Why are you wearing a black glove? Why does Seth Rollins wear a black glove? What the fuck is up with these black gloves? Are you Darth Vader after he got his hand fucking chopped off or whatever?
He would get the gimmick from Tully and put it in the glove.
Yeah.
But I guess he's not doing that now.
It's a loaded glove.
I see.
I don't have any
Heart
idea.
punch.
Well, anyway.
We've talked way too much about this.
Yes.
All right. Then things get strange.
Also.
So I watch these shows days apart, as I mentioned. So we get a segment here where Dasha is trying to interview Hikaru Shida about Abaddon. Abaddon attacks. Geeks by the thousands swarm in out of nowhere and separate them. And Shida says, play my music. And she storms off to the ring. And I wrote down here at the time, this was straight out of NXT. And we're sitting here reviewing these shows.
That's right.
I realized they did almost exactly the same thing with Hikaru Shida on
Yes.
NXT. She walked by, said, play my music. They played it, and she stormed down to the ring. So it's Hikaru Shida versus Alex Gracia. And it's not Garcia, and that vexes me terribly. So, because Garcia is a name. Who's a Gracia?
That's a fucking name too, you nerd.
I never met a Gracia
Craig's
in my
fucking last name is Proper, but it's spelled proper.
Yes,
That vexes me to this day, but that's the fucking way things work.
Listen how the English say the word proper.
You're not fucking English.
How do you know that?
Look at you. Go ahead, Vinny.
We do know you're Norwegian, Craig. You told us this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can be both.
The blurred lines here. So Shida goes down in the ring, and she's all pissed off, and she's storming Alex Gracia, tearing her apart, and it's great. And I'm thinking, okay, simple story. Shida has been provoked by Abaddon. She's taking it out on Gracia. She's going to beat her up and they go to the match. Fine. And then Gracia makes a comeback. And then suddenly, Abaddon is at ringside.
Yes.
Abaddon's fighting Shida again. I'm thinking, well, that's strange. They get back in the ring. Gracia starts getting near falls. She finally wins the Falcon Arrow. And then she brawls with Abaddon a third time.
Yeah, I liked it. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I was not liking this storyline.
Good.
Because they were doing the Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt storyline.
Yes.
Where Sheeta's scared to death of this woman.
Okay.
And they went the other way here, where, yes, you're not killing Abaddon's gimmick by having Shida stand up to her. What you're doing is you're not making your champion look like a dork. Like, yeah, Abaddon's creepy, she's weird. I mean, we learned she was weird here because she fucking bit Shida in the neck, drew blood. So, I mean, I'm convinced she's weird, but Sheeta's supposed to be our champion. She should not be backing down. She should not be scared. So I liked what they did here.
I would be fine if that's all they did.
Yes.
If they just had a match and then Abaddon attacked her and Shida fought her off or whatever. But they did a fight at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. And by the end, it was like, okay, we get it. They're feuding. I understand now.
Now, there was too much of that, yes.
There was too much of this.
I didn't like it because I'm supposed to believe that a zombie took a chunk of neck out of Hikaru Shida.
Yes.
I guess she's a zombie now, too.
Yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought of that.
Well, I mean, hold on a second. We're out of line here. Okay.
Excuse me?
Abaddon's not actually a zombie, you two dorks.
Oh, really?
She's a person pretending to be a fucking zombie.
But
So she didn't turn the other person into a damn zombie because there ain't no such thing as fucking zombies.
Dude, kayfabe.
No! I refuse to believe there's a fucking zombie on AEW.
but there is.
No, there's not. There's a
No,
person
no.
pretending to be a fucking zombie.
No, the zombie was
Dr.
on
Luther's not a
ECW.
doctor either.
I beg to differ.
Well, let's move on. Next week, Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix for the
He's as much of a
title.
doctor as you are English.
I got a better accent than you do.
Bullshit.
Oh, no. Don't provoke him, Craig.
Get going, Vinny. Yeah.
Jon Moxley returns next week. Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon for the women's title, and Jake Hager versus Wardlow. And then in 2 weeks on New Year's Smash Night 2, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage, and Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal. Main event, Young Bucks versus Acclaimed for the tag team titles. We have another Acclaimed battle rap. It's also good. My favorite line here is when they said they were hotter than Topanga.
Truth.
I am too old to have a thing for Topanga, but they're not.
Oh, Topanga's probably what? In her...
I'm sure she's in her 30s now.
Okay.
She's like in her 50s.
No.
So, what they did here, you know how we talk about every week, the Young Bucks come out and they usually do the opener. And it's always a very good Young Bucks match, but it's often very much the same Young Bucks match. This is a Young Bucks match in the opener. They just moved to the main event and added like 3 more minutes of near falls.
Sure.
Like, there was a point here where the Bucks got cut off, they went to commercial, and came back and made a hot tag right away, just like they do in NXT. But the difference is, there was like 8 hot tags in this match, so who cares? Matt's making this awesome comeback. Nick's just flying around.
She's
The
turning
Bucks,
40.
there you go.
Perfect.
Matt's making his awesome comeback. Nick looks great. I thought the Bucks were just unreal in this match. They looked awesome. And there's a dueling sharpshooter spot. The Acclaim to get a chance to shine, do some near falls. And then the referee gets super kicked to, as I wrote here, complete doom. He was kicked in the face. There's a low blow and a boombox shot. The second ref shows up, but he's too late, and the Bucks kick out. And Bowens is eventually powerbombed through a table, and Caster is pinned with a BTE trigger. A tremendous main event.
Dude, this match was great. There's nothing against Top Flight, but this was a Christmas miracle. That's what this was. Young Bucks are so fucking good.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to hear any of these fuckers talking about, yeah, there was a time when the Young Bucks did like a lot of moves, and it was all about moves, and it was just craziness, and sometimes they still do that, but they are a fucking all-time great tag team.
Yes.
Preach.
Okay?
Yep.
Fuck. You know what's a great tag team? Chris Daniels and Kazarian.
Yes.
They had nothing resembling this match with Top Flight.
No, they did not.
Young Bucks went in there, and you know what? They had a great, I don't want to say idiot-proof. I don't want to call them idiots, but, Top Flight's green. And so they went in there, and they had a great match with them that did not involve 85 million high spots. It was a tag team professional wrestling match.
Are you confusing Top Flight with the Acclaimed?
Is that what I said?
I believe so.
I got Top Flight written down here. Acclaimed. But anyway, just a fucking great performance. Absolutely great. Loved it.
Now, I didn't think this was a stereotypical Bucks match, but it was a good match. I got to see Bowen work Defy probably 2 months before, and that guy, he's pretty darn good. The other guy, what's his name? Cutler? What is it?
I got written. I closed my notes.
Caster.
Like oil, castor oil.
Sure. He's got. He's probably the lesser of the two, but I think these guys with a good push, I think they're going to be something.
They'll be just fine. Fear not.
Yeah. But the Bucks got a good match out of these guys.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
I agree, Craig. They had a good match.
Okay, so here's the thing: when the main event was coming, I was like, okay, I've seen these guys one time, and now they're in the main event of Dynamite. Why?
Yeah.
And then you go back and look, okay, they've had like a ton of dark matches, and by the way, dark on Tuesdays.
8-0.
Yeah, so it makes sense. And then they went out there and they had a great match, so it all made sense.
This was much better than the SCU match.
Yes.
I think we'll all agree. So, Craig, I know you don't normally join us for our Wednesday night review shows.
Right.
But we do this thing at the end where we vote
Yes.
on which show we like better. I figure we may as well give you a guest vote And as a guest, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Okay, so I was fixing to pick NXT until they got to the main event. And then I watched
Dynamite.
I watched Dynamite first, and I was fixing to pick NXT until they got to the main event. And on the main event alone, I'd have to pick AEW.
Okay, Craig votes AEW. I'm also going to vote AEW. Except for the Gargano Christmas stuff, I thought it was just top to bottom a better show. I didn't think it was a very close contest this week.
Well, actually, I will vote for AEW, but dude, there's some times where I vote for AEW and it was the far superior show. And I thought it was the better show this week, but I didn't think the NXT show was bad. Sometimes I watch that show and I just get furious about all these little things up and down the show.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that this week. I thought
It was perplexing.
There were a couple of perplexing things, but I mean, compared to some of these shows that I've watched, I mean, the Thatcher thing, that's very perplexing, but
Yes.
the other stuff, I mean, there was some good stuff on the show. This was a 10-9,
Okay.
but a close fight.
Sure.
That's fair.
I give it to AEW.
Right.
All right, everybody. Well, Vinny, now you should know what to do, right?
And I already have it looked up if I can find it in my goddamn text, because I'll say it because Craig won't. It's the Tuesday, everyone. It's not on here. It's like on my phone.
July 23rd, 2001. Can you get your fucking Mac and your phone
God, you're
synced
here.
up together? Jesus Christ.
It should be. The most of my I'm looking at my texts on my Mac right now, and it's not here.
So it's
Well,
the
they're
Raw,
not synced up then, dude.
It's the Raw right
But
after.
all my other texts are here.
It's the Raw right after Invasion. So it's the
Why is it
night
here?
after Invasion.
Check the group text to me and Craig.
Craig.
You're probably looking at text just to me.
No, I'm looking at my list of texts. I can take a screenshot, and the Brian and Craig group chat does not appear on these texts.
You're a fucking incompetent.
You
Maybe
shut up.
maybe your Mac hasn't caught up to your phone.
It's supposed to be instantaneous.
Understood.
You may have to shut off your gimmick.
I
and turn
found it.
back
I
on.
found it. For some reason, Brian, instead of saying Brian Alvarez, it lists your figure 4 email address.
Yeah, it's the same.
I'm honestly stunned. I didn't know that email was still around. Anyway, everyone, it's the July 23rd, 2001 episode of Monday Night Raw.
Well, there you go, everybody.